Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into something every Python web developer needs to know: how to build a Flask app with a MySQL database using SQLAlchemy. I'm not just going to throw code at you. We're going to walk through it step by step with real-world context. By the end of this tutorial, you would have built a simple but realistic Flask app connected to MySQL database using SQLAlchemy. Here's what we'll cover step by step. First, we'll set up the project, we'll install dependencies, we'll set up MySQL database, connect Flask to MySQL via SQLAlchemy, create models and sealed the database, handle forms and routes, run simple create, read, update, and delete operations. Before we move on, let's slow down for a sec and ask, what exactly is SQLAlchemy? SQLAlchemy is a powerful Python library that helps you work with database using Python code instead of raw SQL. It's like a translator between Python app and your database. For example, instead of writing a simple SQL code as you rather write, it also helps you define your database structure using classes called models, and it handles messy SQL stuff behind the scenes. You can think of it as your database but with Python-friendly controls. Sounds good? Let's go. First, let's create a folder for our app. Open your terminal and run this code. This creates a project folder. While here, we'll create a virtual environment and activate the environment. Next, let's install our dependencies. First, we install Flask as our web framework, Flask_SQLAlchemy as the ORM tool, and PyMySQL as the connector to talk to MySQL from Python. Next, we'll create the MySQL database. Open MySQL CLI or any GUI like PHPMyAdmin or MySQL Workbench. Create the database called Flask_DB. Now back to your VS Code. Inside your project folder, create a new file called app.py and drop the following code. This creates your Flask application instance. SQLAlchemy_database_URI is how SQLAlchemy knows where to connect and how. It includes the username, password, host, and database name. Think of it like the address of your database. This turns off some internal tracking to save resources, while DB host SQLAlchemy ties everything together, making SQLAlchemy ready to interact with your app. Please note, putting your database password directly in your code works fine for learning and local development, but in real-world production-level apps, you should never expose sensitive information like this. Why? Because if someone gets access to your code, especially if it's on GitHub, they could also get access to your live database. Next, let's create our model. Here, user is our table, ID is the primary key, username and email are strings and must be unique and not empty. Alright, we've set up our app and connected it to MySQL. Now let's actually create the database tables and get our Flask app running. Still inside our app.py file, let's add these bits at the bottom. This makes sure the app only runs when you execute app.py directly, not when it's imported somewhere else. The with block. This gives SQLAlchemy the context it needs to safely talk to Flask. Think of it like unlocking the door before accessing app settings. While the db.createAll is the magic that tells SQLAlchemy to create all the tables defined in our models. The app.run cleans up the development server, while the debug equals true means you'll see helpful error messages and the server will reload on changes. This route we added is just a friendly placeholder to confirm that our setup is working. Now open your terminal and run python app.py. Boom! There you have it. Also, you can see that the database tables have been created inside our MySQL workbench. We've built the foundation. Now it's time to make your app interactive. Let's create a rich HTML form that lets users create their username and email. This is where things start to feel real. First, create a new file called add_user.html inside the templates folder. This is a basic HTML form. It's nothing fancy yet, but it gets the job done. Method equals post. means we are sending the form data securely to the /add_user route. We created two fields, one for username and the other for email. Super simple, super useful. You might be thinking, hey, this looks pretty plain. You're absolutely right. And that's okay. We intentionally kept it bare bones for now, so you can focus on understanding the functionality first. Once you're comfortable, feel free to spice things up with CSS or Bootstrap. Next, inside our app.py file, make sure to import render_templates and requests. Then let's create a route to show the form, followed by the add_user route to accept post data. Here, the method equals post allows this route to handle form submission, while the request.form.get fetches data from the submitted form. Here we check if the username or email is missing. We also check if the username already exists, just to add a little real-world spice. Finally, we'll add the new user to the database and commit the changes. Okay, now that we can add users via a form, let's build out the full CRUD experience. That is, create, read, updates, and deletes. We'll build actual pages for this, no shortcuts, no simulated API-only response, just clean, full-cycle, real-world Flask with SQLAlchemy and MySQL. Before we dive in, make sure your Flask app has a folder named templates. That's where all our HTML pages go. If you had followed the earlier form example, you probably already have it. If not, go ahead and create it now. Let's create a page that lists all users in our database. That way, we will see what we've added, and from there, we'll build options to edit or delete each user. First, let's add this route in app.py. Here we define the route users. Then we grab all the users from the database using user.query.all method. Then we pass that list to a HTML page called users.html. Next, inside the templates folder, create users.html and enter the following HTML code. Here we are using Ginger2 templating to loop through the list of users and render them on the page. Ever typed a wrong email address and wish you could fix it? Yeah, we are building that now. Inside our app.py, add the following code. Here we'll get the user using user_ID, passed in the URL. If it's a GET request, we show the updates form. If it's a POST request, we'll save the new data to the database. Now, inside the templates folder, create another file, update_user.html, and let's enter the following HTML code. Now, for the hard goodbye, let's create a route that deletes a user by ID. Inside our app.py file, let's create this route. Here we get the user by ID, then we delete them from the session. Finally, we commit the change to the database. Let's test our app by running Python app.py file. Here we view all users. We try clicking the edit or delete. See the CRUD magic in action. That's a full stack app. Flask plus MySQL plus SQLAlchemy. We learn how to set up a Flask project, connect it to MySQL, create models, perform CRUD operations, and even tackle real-world errors. If you made it this far, awesome work. Drop your questions in the comments, and in the next video, we will turn this into a full web app with forms and validation. Until then, happy coding, and do not forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this tutorial.